Welcome to Sacred Stream Radio with Isa Gucciardi. Today, Isa discusses being of service and the path of the Bodhisattva. This excerpt was taken from a 2008 Buddhist Psychology training program.
Remember, of course, in Buddhism, there ultimately is no separation between self and other, and any idea of separation is an illusion. But of course, when we're talking about the two truths, ultimate reality and relative reality, in relative reality it appears that there is a separation, and the path of service is designed to break down that illusion of separation. And of course, as I've talked about in depth hypnosis, in serving others, you wind up serving yourself. And remember, in the Bodhisattva vow, where a Bodhisattva puts his or her consciousness, it always has these two elements. One is the desire for liberation for all beings and oneself. And also for oneself is the desire to attain omniscience. And that balances the sort of selfless gushing of giving that you find in other paths of service. Because if you're going to attain omniscience, there is so much that you have to do in order to serve yourself and to really attain the right view and the right intention and the right effort. All of the steps on the Eightfold Path support the attainment of both omniscience for oneself and for liberation of oneself and others. And so it's not like you're taking on responsibility for someone else's issues. You are grooming yourself to become the vehicle that you need to become in order to effectively assist in the liberation of all beings. And remember, in Buddhism, this whole idea of liberating all beings has within it the caveat that no one can actually liberate anyone else. Therefore, you cannot be effective in taking on responsibility for someone else's liberation. What you do in Buddhism in order to help others attain enlightenment is to create a Buddha field around you so that anyone coming into contact with this field has an experience of themselves that helps them move in whichever way they need to move toward liberation. But it's not like you're being asked to take on responsibility for getting other people to the other side. There's a lot of parables in Buddhism where the practitioner is on a boat getting to the other side of the river. And the other side of the river is the state of enlightenment. There is no way that you can put someone on your boat and take them across. The only thing you can do is provide them with a boat and see if they step on it. So in that way, you are not asked to give more of yourself than is possible. Unfortunately, most of us don't really get that message. And a lot of us that are on a path of service think we do have to take responsibility in order to save people. And I think this is one of the primary lessons that bodhisattvas in training have to learn, is that you don't use your life energy to liberate another person. You dedicate your life energy into becoming a Buddha field or into understanding how to become the proper vehicle for someone who comes into contact with you to become liberated. But you do not try to participate in that liberation without their full cooperation and without them having first taken full responsibility for the process. They often talk about what one of the bodhisattva's intentions is, that they become whatever the person in front of them needs them to be in order for that person to obtain liberation. That could include becoming a wrathful emanation in order for them to be able to see something, or for them to perceive you as being wrathful or unkind in order for them to be able to perceive their misconception. The really nice thing about Buddhism, of course, is that it tries to meet people wherever they are on the path. And some people will not try to groom themselves unless it's for the benefit of another. And some people will not try to benefit another unless it's for the benefit of themselves. Right? So it's a great thing about Buddhism is it meets you coming or going. It's kind of a perfect combination plate. And one thing that I wanted to say that I meant to say when Kathy was talking about the Eightfold Path, you said, well, just being on the Eightfold Path is enough. And yes, being on the Eightfold Path is enough if you want just liberation for yourself. But the Eightfold Path becomes this exquisite cushion or assistance. I mean, it's not like it's a cushion that you can lie down and just kind of go unconscious on. But it's a cushion that supports you as you are striving to become as conscious as you can, to really go back and think, okay, what is right view? And what really is right effort? And to have these 8 points out in front of you all the time as markers to meet in order to help support you personally on the path, but also in order to be able to guide you as you seek to liberate another being. For instance, the concept of right view, seeing everything as impermanent, seeing everything as relatively dependent on one another, seeing everything as empty, is really helpful when you're trying to help another person with their suffering. Because if you're understanding that their experience is impermanent, that it is empty, that it is illusory in some ways, whether they can key into that or not, it makes it more possible for you as the Bodhisattva in training to stay present with their suffering. It's very hard to be present with someone's suffering if you think it's thick and unchanging and immobile and untransformable, right? And it's also hard to be with your own suffering if you think that. But this whole concept of right view, which breathes in so much air into our experience and allows for the possibility of transformation and change and return to our Buddha nature through taking the steps of the Eightfold Path and applying it to our own experience and to others' experience. It's such a support. And of course, just the act of taking refuge in the Sangha and the Buddha and the Dharma, just the act of that is so much support. There's so much support here.
Thanks for listening to Sacred Stream Radio. For more information on our training programs, you can visit us on the web at sacredstream.org. The Foundation of the Sacred Stream is a non-profit organization creating pathways to wholeness.